Welcome in, everybody, to Sports Profit TV. This is the MLS Live podcast. I am Cooper, aka the Sports Prophet on Twitter, and with me, as always, is my co-host Garrett at Just Some Footy on Twitter. We are talking MLS Match Week 12 today, fresh off another successful week. For the most part, it's been good this season, so we're looking to keep the good times rolling. Before we get into the show, like we always do, I want to briefly talk about BetUS because they are, our odds are powered by BetUS, and the show is sponsored by BetUS. They're offering a 200% deposit bonus via crypto. So I will put that offer in the description of this video. But yeah, how we doing, Garrett?
Good, brother. Good. Try not to die of heart failure from these cup games, man.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I like the cup.
I like the cup when it gets back to the MLS sides because they still don't take it seriously until about the round of 16 or later. But yeah, just hit a sweaty St. Louis to score there in stoppage time. So yeah, it's fun.
It is fun, and it's fun to see some of the lower division sides, get in there and get dirty and try to get some results. I saw the Pittsburgh Riverhounds got an outright win on the road against the Revs today, so that's a huge win for a lower division side like Pittsburgh. We call those cup sets, I think, in the U.S. Open Cup. So those are always fun to see. Just want to mention to anybody, everybody tuning in right now, we also have the live chat going like we always do. Jack's tuning in right now is talking about the U.S. Open Cup and says it is tough as hell to cap, though. You got to know the teams. You got to know which teams have depth, which teams have good young players that can step up and play. Obviously, I also cap USL, so that gives me a little bit of an advantage when it's USL versus Major League Soccer. But it's definitely a fun challenge that we both like and we both get involved in. And but yeah, we got the live chat going. So if you're in, pop your head in and say hi. And if you have any questions during the show, we like to respond and do our best to answer. But let's get to some player news to start this week's show. We have right off the bat, we have some. Let me get my slides going here. We have some league news, I guess, is what we would call it. As it looks like we're going to have a new Major League Soccer team, and I think it's going to be in San Diego. That's at least what the reports are right now. Is this like a done deal, Garrett?
I mean, like the MLS hasn't announced it yet. They're announcing it, I think later this month. But yeah, the beat writers are pretty much calling it for San Diego, which is interesting because probably 8-10 months ago, Vegas was seen as the favorite, but San Diego was creeping up and coming. And so, yeah, so they're going to give the 30th slot to San Diego. I still fully believe they're going to go at least 32 teams, which is just wild for a top division. But
it's very American.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
32 team leagues.
So yeah, so I think there's 2 more spots open. Vegas is 99.9% getting one of them. So San Diego is 2025. So that makes Vegas probably 2026 or later, with probably one other coming before 2030. And then we'll be at a full 32. And at San Diego's, the fee they're talking about is $500 million expansion fee. Yeah, you're not, just for anyone who's curious, you're not getting promotion or relegation when you're charging $500 million to enter the league, at least not anytime soon before those guys make that money back.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I think, USL's franchise fee to get started as a USL franchise is something around 10 to 12 million last I checked. So hard to see the MLS ownership board passing that unanimously, any kind of pro rel system. Unfortunately, anytime soon, probably won't see that. But yeah, so Vegas in 2026, probably just in time for when Messi is retiring. And maybe that ends up being the Messi franchise.
I so my gut says they're holding Vegas for something big. It could be a Beckham style deal for a player. It could be a huge giant investor. But there is a reason they went San Diego first over Vegas. They're saying San Diego is going to play at the Snapdragon uh, Stadium there. Snapdragon Stadium isn't great, and MLS has been wanting these teams to have new stadiums when they come into the league. So I don't know if that means
Right.
San Diego is going to have to build another stadium or be in the process of building it as they're playing at Snapdragon. But that's how the reports came out right now: is $500 million to get in the league and then start playing at Snapdragon Stadium. So we'll see. I'm sure more details will come out. Um, but yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, it's going to be. I'm personally interested to see what happens with San Diego Loyal. Landon Donovan owns that team, which is USL Championship level. So if this is my understanding is that they might just be toast, like they might be gone, and MLS has taken over. It's not a merger, right?
It could be anything from them being like, that's what's still like, those details need to get worked out.
Right.
On the range of outcomes, it could be anywhere from them being the ML, just moving to MLS, to um staying in USL, to relocating, to yeah, just folding entirely. Uh it seems unlikely that the MLS would put one of their greatest players in a position like this to fold, such as Landon Donovan. So I'm
Right.
sure something has been worked out. This just Philly scored. This isn't really
Hey.
I, this wouldn't go over well if MLS was just straight bulldozing the Loyal. So we'll
Right.
see. The Loyal have a good following. They have a decent fan base there, and so I don't know. That's what we need more details on, right? Like it was when Nashville got awarded the expansion franchise. It came out shortly after that Nashville, at the time FC, would be moving to MLS. So if it is the Loyal, I would expect some kind of announcement on that sooner rather than later. Otherwise, yeah, you're going to have a little bit of turbulence there in San Diego as far as what goes on with the team currently playing there.
Yeah, that would be expected for sure. But um, another piece of news that we wanted to talk about here, we have some. Look, we're about a third of the way through the season, and we have a couple of guys that have been fired. Ezra Hendrickson. I have some words about this. Maybe not so much the Struber situation, but I'm surprised to see Hendrickson get fired, honestly, because I felt like the fire were picking up steam in the right direction. I haven't read too much into this. I don't know if there was something with the front office and they weren't getting along, but I just thought it was curious because Chicago has been pretty bad for like previous two seasons. And this year, they don't look like they're terrible. They look like a team that could get hot and maybe even make a run at one of the outside playoff spots.
Um, so the statement from the front office, this is how I'll start this. The statement from the front office said seasons can slip away quickly and they wanted to act now before it got away from them, so to speak. If you watched the Nashville Chicago game, I mean, Nashville had their highest expected goal total since their existence in MLS. Like it was absolutely ridiculous. It was 27 shots to 2 or something
Mm,
like that.
right.
It I mean, as a fan, it was great. I loved it. It was super
Right.
fun to watch. The Chicago team looked completely unmotivated, not just demoralized, like where like they know they've been thoroughly beaten. They did not care.
Hmm.
And it was a terrible look. And so yeah, I think that this was a move to be made where they said they really thought this might be his ceiling. And so we got to move on now. You've got the second highest paid player in the MLS who's walking around. You've got to make him and Gutierrez exist on the field together, and it hasn't happened with both of them out there. Yeah, they've got to get somebody else. There is, I think you're going to have an interim the rest of the year. and they're probably going to look to bring in a solid name come the summer or at least the offseason after this year. This is yeah, this team has a lot of potential. They now have funds where they've sold some prospects with their keeper Slanina and the striker Duran to Aston Villa. There are funds there to play with. And so they've got to turn it around. And yeah, I don't think Hendrickson was the guy. I think this was a smart move as far as doing it now as opposed to letting the season get worse or run away from you and then doing it then. Do it now while you can try to turn things around. When it comes to Struber, yeah, his days were numbered, man. That dude, now in his statement, he said he already told New York that he was looking to get back to Europe. The sooner the better at the latest this coming off season. But this team is bad, man. They're at the bottom of the standings. They said the Van Zier situation played no part in the decision making to fire Struber. If that's the case, why even bring it up? Like that's just a bad look. So I don't know who's doing their PR, but that was also poor to even bring that up if that wasn't the case. It should have been the case. He handled that absolutely terribly. Like in fact, how he handled it overshadowed what actually happened, which is kind of amazing in of itself. But no, I think both these guys needed to get gone. And I think clearly it's shown already tonight that it's been beneficial. They both got wins tonight in the cup, and they make for interesting games this weekend.
Yeah, I think at the very least, the way that Struber handled the Van Seer situation, whether they're going to admit it or not, that was it. At the very least, the cherry on top of his firing.
But these are the first dominoes to fall. And so now other coaches will start being on the hot seat. Wolf, Vanny pops to mind. Other guys were like, teams are not waiting. We're just a third into the season. We're not even halfway, and you got teams pulling the triggers here. So, yeah. I think this is a league-wide notice to other coaches who could also be on the hot seat.
Yeah, Vanny's got to be on the hot seat. I mean, if not, then I don't know. All right, last piece of player news here before we get on to this week's predictions. Just a couple of notable call-ups. Philadelphia Union, they will release Jack McGlynn and Sullivan, two very, very promising, some of the best younger players under 20 in Major League Soccer.
Both these guys will be in Europe at some point.
Yeah, these guys are smooth. I mean, I always enjoy watching these guys play. Both of them played fairly significant roles in the Champions League and looked good.
McGlynn's a starter. McGlynn's a regular starter, and Sullivan is a big depth piece for them as far as that attacking three with Gazdag, Ure, and Carranza. So this is interesting because you've got plenty of teams not releasing guys. Philly said no. This is a big opportunity for these kids. We're going to release them. I think Philly's also in a situation where they feel comfortable with their depth. You see other teams like Chicago who are not comfortable with their depth and know that they need wins and they need points during this under 20 World Cup while league play is still going on, and they're not releasing them. I think we touched on this last time too, but this isn't not releasing these guys for the under 20 is not unusual. You've got plenty of other teams who have guys who would be eligible in the MLS who aren't getting released. The left back for Galaxy comes to mind. He's not getting released for Argentina under 20. And there's some other situations too. The big thing that we're looking at for this is come, I think, May 10th or tomorrow or the day after, rosters get finalized, like final call-ups. So we know who's going to be there and who's not for however long those teams are in the under 20 World Cup. And that's going to play a part in MLS more than ever with this under 22 initiative that they've got going on, where they can pay some of these younger guys more money to try to drive in young talent into the league. This is where you kind of, have a fork in the road, so to speak, where some of these dudes are going to go to the World Cup, some aren't. And so that'll be a big talking point heading into next show and into the under 20 World Cup.
Right on. Yeah, man, just credit to Philadelphia. They have just been a machine as far as their academy and their development has been so good. But yeah, excited to see how both of these guys do, and excited to see them contribute in the under 20 World Cup. But let's go ahead and get on to this week's predictions. Let's see here. We're going to start with LA Galaxy and San Jose. You got to play for that one, Garrett.
I do. So I don't know how to avoid this spot here where I'm going to get both teams to score plus over 2.5 with LA Galaxy at home versus San Jose. This is a spot we've liked on a lot of LA games this season.
Yep.
San Jose is off all week. They're already out of the cup. They don't have any cup games this week, so they are going to get more rest. The Galaxy do play tomorrow, but this game is on Sunday. So Galaxy are going to get in 3 full days of rest. So I expect a strong lineup here from Galaxy as long as nothing crazy happens tomorrow night. The Galaxy are tied for 8th in the league in expected goals. So they're creating, but they've scored the 3rd fewest goals in the league. So their gap is getting pretty wide, which I kind of like to start to tap into.
Yeah.
It does feel bad trusting the Galaxy to do stuff here, but the San Jose defense still leaks on the road. I think they're at a 1.95 expected goals against a game when they're on the road. It's like the San Jose defense of old when they leave San Jose. The Galaxy are going to let you score one in their house at least one. Both teams to score when their home is hitting 80%. San Jose on the road is hitting at 80% when we look at both teams to score. And I hesitate to take this feels like a spot to get San Jose. This feels like a 2-1 Galaxy win to me.
Yeah, so I'm on board with this play. I 100% agree. I think we are going to be able to catch this Galaxy team at some point this season. Hopefully it's right now. It kind of feels like that to me. We're going to be able to catch them where the positive regression actually starts to come through for us. This attack passes the eye test for me every single time that I watch them, especially obviously if they're running two at the top with Chicharito and Jovic, that's even better. But this attack is smooth, man. The ball movement's good. They have quality. They have talent. The way that they build up and move is one of the prettier attacks in Major League Soccer. When I watch them play, I mean, they pass the test. And I want to mention this too. I was looking today through a website that I use at the expected goals added. And the reason I like the expected goals added is because it breaks it down into shooting, disrupting, like they break it down in passing. So they break it down into all these little points. And LA Galaxy expected goals added, which is similar to expected goals, in their shooting category, which means when they are trying to score a goal, not passing, not defending, not interrupting, their shooting expected goals added is number 1 in Major League Soccer. So this is a team, like you said, positive regression's got to come. San Jose, we don't have a lot to say about them because we know San Jose. San Jose is borderline elite with as far as their numbers this season. And they've been good to us. I think they're going to continue to be good to us. So, yeah, I like this. I like the price. I think this is an open game.
And I like this expected goals versus actual goals in this gap that we're talking about because the Galaxy, while they look terrible at times on the field, they are loaded with talent.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a good distinction to make. It's not like Sporting KC, for instance, who also have a similar type of gap. They don't have anywhere near the same talent level that the Galaxy have. Now, granted, the Galaxy should be more talented. They're spending more money in just about everywhere. But when the talent's on the field, I'm much more comfortable expecting these things to get back to the mean, either with positive or negative regression, as opposed to a team that's less talented that might actually just be bad.
Right. Yep, I agree. All right, right on. I got a show play today. I'm going to be taking LAFC here on the road. going to Utah against Real Salt Lake. I'm going to take their draw no bet. I was a little surprised to see. I mean, let's be honest. Like LAFC is the best team in Major League Soccer. They're the best team in Major League Soccer. They're the class of the league. And RSL, I know, road games are tough in Major League Soccer. Home field advantage is a big deal. At first, I thought, oh, well, LAFC, they've been playing Champions League. They've got a cup game. Maybe this is due to schedule congestion. But I saw yesterday, I was reading on Twitter, LAFC has a cup game as we speak. They're playing, or they're getting ready to play right now against Monterey Bay. LAFC did not send one senior league player to this cup game. They literally sent their MLS next team. So they sent their LAFC 2 squad to go play this cup game, which really means they don't really care about the game because, I mean, why would you if you have a Champions League final on deck to worry about and you have the league to worry about? You have all these things. They don't need the US Open Cup. So they have literally just sent the kids to go play today, which means on Saturday, it's the big boys, and they're going to be totally rested as you can be. A full rest in preparation for this game on the road. And RSL hasn't been good, man. Like RSL, number 5 in expected goals allowed defensively, and when I say number 5, I mean the 5th worst. They have allowed 17 goals this season. There's only 2 teams that are worse than that. That's Portland and Charlotte, two of the crappy 3 that we talk about, Portland, Charlotte, and Montreal. This RSL defensive unit is right there with them. They're really bad. And we always talk about Salt Lake being kind of a fortress as well. It really hasn't been this year. 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw at home. It doesn't get any better than LAFC as far as this league, Major League Soccer. They're on the road here. I think they get it done. I'm not concerned about Real Salt Lake being at home or anything. I just think LAFC is that much better.
Did you mention RSL on short rest as well?
I didn't, but that's even better.
Yes, they play tomorrow night. I can't see them fully punting tomorrow night. I think they will rotate if they're facing Portland at Portland. I cannot see them just fully rotating here. They want to be competitive. But yeah, they know they have LAFC on the weekend. And they're going to have some starters that probably have to play tomorrow night. So I dig this a lot. This is an interesting spot. Now, granted, LAFC on the road is not LAFC at home.
Right.
The analytics everywhere show that. But LAFC also doesn't lose too much on the road. They lost to San Jose in a game where they probably should have tied had they not had that late penalty called. I'm not bitter about losing the draw there or anything. So no, I dig this. You get the draw protection, which could absolutely happen there at RSL, but I do like what LAFC did, given all the starters a week off. They've played a ton of soccer already. I saw something about Bawanga. He's played in every game so far. I think that's 15 on the season when you count cup matches to date and Champions League. So he's clocking in almost 1,200 minutes already on the season.
Sheesh.
That's a ton.
Yeah.
So I think this is smart for a team that has bigger ambitions right now than the U.S. Cup. They will. It's still important to note that lineups have been out for a minute now, and we're getting ready to kick off. And LAFC is still large favorites at only like plus 120 or plus 110 versus Monterey Bay, even with the LAFC 2 side. So I think they trust this team. Is what I mean by that. But no, they have bigger fish to fry, absolutely. And getting starters a full week of rest is super important.
Well, what's interesting to me is that in regards to that cup game, LAFC opened at minus 175 on most books. So that made me
for sure. Once they made the announcement, money poured in on Monterey. But I mean, it stopped around the 110, 120 mark. Monterey was still like plus 185 last I looked. And this LAFC 2 side is not bad. They've got some guys who act as death pieces for the MLS side. So it's just this was a smart move overall, I think, organizationally by the team.
Yeah, I think so too. And obviously the big thing, the big part of our handicap here is the game on Saturday. And so I love that we're going to be fully rested, LAFC, and um, hopefully they get it done for us. But we have another West Coast matchup here to talk about. There's some really good West Coast games this week. Garrett, this is your next one.
Yes, and it's of course the team that neither one of us can seem to quit. I'm going to go with Vancouver draw no bet as they are going to Portland. So not a ton of travel for them there. So I'm not really worried about anything like that. Plus, they have the week off too. They're out of the cup as well. Portland plays on Wednesday. Going to have to turn around and play on short rest. Again, they're playing another MLS side, so it's hard for me to see Portland just absolutely punting. This is after Portland's lost two key midfielders for the season, among some other injuries they're struggling with. They've been injured for most of the year already. I'm going to focus in on one stat here because if I just throw out the expected goals and stuff, Portland at home has still played strong this season. Their expected goals against is only 1.1 per game. Their expected goals hovers right around the same. Vancouver has not been a great road team. Their stats are slightly better than Portland's when it comes to expected goals. But where I'm targeting this thing is open play. When I look at Vancouver and Portland, just from an open play perspective, not set pieces or anything like that, Vancouver has the second best expected goals from open play on the season at 14.38. Now, Portland, if you look at open play, like expected goals against, and I know we're really diving into the weeds here for a second, but they're the sixth worst at 12 at allowing or expected to allow 12.21 goals a game through open play. So I see Vancouver getting a huge advantage here in stylistically in how they play. They also get a week off, a short rest Portland team, even though Portland's at home. This just feels like a nice spot for Vancouver to keep some momentum going after getting that big win versus Minnesota in what turned out to be a really entertaining game. So the analytics are still there for Vancouver. There's still plenty of room for them to get positive regression to start bringing in more goals. We've harped on Portland's defense all season, even though they do play better at home. This is just lining up what could be a sweet spot for Vancouver, and you're getting the draw no bet at a good price here. So that cuts down the risk immensely for me when I'm able to get draw no bet at plus money in this scenario. It just feels like a shot that I've got to take on a team that analytically is far superior to Portland.
Yeah, this feels a lot like, or it definitely shares some feeling with the game that we just talked about with LAFC being on the road at RSL. I think Portland. I mean, they are as bad, probably worse as RSL defensively, but they have less bite in their attack. So, plus you get the good price here with Vancouver. I agree. I think you're getting the better team here at a big plus money price. And if this game ends in a draw, then no sweat. But yeah, I see what you're seeing here, and because when I hear you talk about it, I'm seeing or I'm hearing that you're seeing in your head how these teams match up on the field. You're seeing how when they're actually on the field playing, you have a pretty good feel for how that's going to look. And that's really what I think you're feeling here behind this play, which I like because that's how I handicap too.
Well, I've always been big on Vancouver's midfield. I like that midfield, and I think that midfield is their best advantage here in this game. Um, you can look at any team. Goals are created through the midfield. You need the forwards to finish, and they're usually the ones doing the action in the final third. But all of that is created from the midfield, and this is a huge advantage for Vancouver here in this game. I think Portland hasn't still felt the effects of losing both those midfielders.
Right.
It's also important to note I'm on draw no bet because it's going to be hot here, hot in Portland that day. I think that might be the hottest day or hottest game of the season so far in MLS. You're looking at around like 87 or 86 at kickoff. And so that's another thing that's bothering me here, which is why I don't want. Normally, I was looking at both teams to score. Or maybe there's just goals here. I like goals here. No, this heat changes things for me. At least first, once you're into June and July, teams are a little more acclimated to it. But with this being possibly the hottest game of the season so far, I'm taking the plus money draw no bet, get some protection there in case if it's a low scoring 1-1, 0-0. I'm not getting hurt too badly.
I like it. Let's go. All righty, on to our super collab. Garrett, you're going to start us off with your leg of this one too.
Yeah, it's Austin Dallas. It's a great rivalry. There's usually goals here. I like how Austin has found their attack here in the last couple of games. Dallas is not the road Dallas. Granted, they're still staying in Texas. I get it, but they're not the road Dallas we're used to seeing. They're leaky on the road. They play a little more open than I would expect this season. And so I think that opens up opportunities for Austin to score. And I think Dallas is superior here to this Austin side. And so Dallas shouldn't really have a problem scoring on this makeshift Austin defense. So no, I think both teams to score here is a really good parlay piece. It's just outside of my juice range. Like depending on your book, you're looking at minus 155 to minus 170 last I looked. That's good enough for a nice little parlay piece for me to bring some value to this.
Yeah, I like it. I think Austin has kind of got the monkey off their back a little bit offensively. They've scored 2 goals in each of their last 2 games. So hopefully, we can get to a point to where they're a little bit trustworthy again with their attack. And one thing is for sure, defensively, they're not trustworthy. So happy to fade them there. And I agree. I do think Dallas has played more open on the road so far this season. In fact, they've scored in every road game this year. So definitely dig that. I am going to go to old trusty here. I'm going to ride this until the wheels fall off. DC United and Nashville first half over a half. You put those two together, that gets us to a nice juicy plus 144 price tag, which is always fun. You making the book pay you instead of you pay the book the juice. I actually have some interest in playing the over in this game, but I'll talk about the first half here.
Oh, that is a spicy take.
Yeah,
I was going to ask you about there just being a goal. You want to take the over.
I figured you'd like that. Look, I just think that so the over is the total's at 2.25 for the full game, by the way. I like the way that Nashville has looked in the last couple of weeks. They look confident since CJ Sapong left. Bunbury is kind of the guy up there. He's not a world beater, but he's comfortable. I think the team is gelling a little bit better as far as the way their attack has looked. And DC is bad defensively. They're still not good, but they're attack minded. We talked about this last week. The way that Rooney has these guys playing, good midfield, good additions there in DC. I honestly think this game could be a little bit more open than the books are expecting. And a lot of that is just because I think that DC will do their thing. They're going to be at home, so they're going to let it rip. And I think Nashville has enough speed and enough counterattacking mentality to maybe knock one in the other way. So I actually think that this game could have goals, and I'm going to ride this one. Like I said, this has been good to us for most of the season as far as DC games getting a goal in the first half. So that's what I'm rolling with.
I would not be doing my due diligence unless I mentioned that Nashville has both the worst expected goal total
I know.
On the road and the best expected goals against on the road. I mean, It's less than a goal on either side. So I just have to throw that out. I get it. This play has been kind. It also scares me to death.
Hey, it's gambling, baby.
But at plus 144 with a play that's been so trusty, as you put it, I see. It's hard to not want to dabble here. Austin Dallas is another one I'm interested in goals. I got to see those lineups tomorrow night. I totally think I will have quite a few more plays come this weekend. It's just with Open Cup, you try to pick your spots early here in favorable positions. before we get to, I mean, like there's still games to go on tonight. There's a whole nother slew of games tomorrow. So late tomorrow, Thursday is I think when I'm going to fire on some more spots. Austin, Dallas, over could be one of those spots depending on how tomorrow's lineups roll out.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify this too, or just mention it. The LAFC play that I talked about earlier in the show, that's going to be an official play for me that I send out to clients. So I really like it. I mean that one has potential, multi-unit potential for me. But as a whole, I'm kind of with you. The U.S. Open Cup is just. I'd rather be cautious and see what kind of lineups we get over the next two evenings before we go too crazy. So. But anyways, appreciate everybody tuning in as always. If you guys could hit the thumbs up, that helps me out a lot. And subscribe so you don't miss anything. Sometimes Twitter is acting up like it was a couple of weeks ago, so you'll get notifications when we go live. And Garrett, anything?
No, as always, best of luck to what you're on this weekend. Make sure you're following us so you can get those extra plays we're going to toss out. We love putting out this free content. So thank y'all for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. See you next week.